Okay, so today we are going to work on graphing systems of linear inequalities. And so when we're doing this, we're, again, just like we did earlier in Chapter 6, when I have two or more inequalities, that's going to be a system. So we'll focus mainly on just doing two at the same time. And so a solution to our system is still an ordered pair that makes that's a solution for both of those inequalities at the same time. And so here, for us, the way that we do this, to graph our system, we're going to graph them on the same XY plane, and then where the shading overlaps, that's going to be the solution to our system. Where the shading overlaps, that's our solutions. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph these two equations individually and then find where the shading overlaps. And Desmos actually does a pretty good job of helping us with this and to be able to see that. So very first one that I'm going to do over here. So I've got x is less than 4. And so, again, just making sure that I'm cognizant of my dotted and solid lines and stuff like that. So here, I've got a vertical line that is shaded to the left. So I'm going to go here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got a dashed line here. And then when I'm doing this on paper, I'm going to try to, instead of shading, because if I shade, then it's harder to graph the other line, I'm just going to use arrows to indicate where my shading is going. And then I can go ahead and do the second one. So I've got y is greater than or equal to 1/3 x minus 2. And so my y is by itself, which is nice. So my slope is 1/3. And my y-intercept is -2. So a 1/3 slope means I'm going up 1, right 3. My y-intercept is that I'm starting down 2. Again, I can graph that as an equation first. And actually, the way I kind of like to do this is if you click this little circle here on the left-hand side, you can turn off an equation. So I can kind of have just one at a time. So I'm going y is equal to 1/3 x minus 2. I think that was the equation. Yep. And so again, I can always go to my table. This one's one with repeating decimals, so I can either add rows or know that if I go by multiples of my denominator, I will get all whole numbers. So I went with multiples of 3 because my denominator was a 3, and so I can go ahead and graph that. I think that was right? Yeah, that's good. And so again, when I go here, I can change this to my sign, which I believe was greater than or equal to. There you go. So it's a solid line that's shaded above. Like that. And again, it's shaded above. And so sometimes it's kind of hard to see, but I'm trying to find where my arrows are running into each other at. And so what I can do is I can go ahead and I can put both these at the same time. And what I should be able to see is, by looking at this, I've got a red portion over here. I've got a blue portion over here, and when red and blue mix together, I get purple. And so purple's where this part right here is actually where my shadings overlap. It's both red and purple at the same time. And so that is what I want to be able to do is my shading, only place that I'm going to shade on this is going to be where those two are overlapping at. And so there's the part of my graph where I should be shading. Everything to the left of the red line and everything above the blue line. I can do the same thing with one over here on the right-hand side. Again, I can clear those out on Desmos. This is y is greater than or equal to -1. Solid line, everything is above. And then here, again, I've got a slope of -3/2 and a y-intercept of 4. So that tells me I'm going down 3 and right 2, and starting 1, 2, 3, 4 above my origin. 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And so each of those lines again, each of those points, I moved using my slope, and now I can go ahead and graph that. Y is less than -3/2 x plus, I think it was 4. Yep. And so same thing, I can look at this. I've got a dotted line that's shaded kind of down and to the left. So I'm going to do a dashed line. And everything that is shaded this way. Like that. So when I turn it on again, if I look at it, oops. I've got red over here, I've got blue over here. Right here is where I have a mix of red and blue, so I get that purple. And so that's where I want to shade at. So when I go here, this is the portion that I want to shade. So everything to the left of the blue line, everything above the red line. Notice that I'm not shading on both sides of either one of those lines. I can then go ahead and flip over to the back side of the notes. With these, again, I just have to end up getting y by itself. So in each of these, I'm going to subtract my 2x over to the other side. So I get y is greater than or equal to -2 minus 2x. And then in the other one, same thing, subtract the 2x to the other side. So with my red line, I've got a slope of -2/1, and my y-intercept is 4. So -2 for my slope is telling me down 2, right 1. So I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. That first one, so y is less than 4 minus 2x. Dotted line, shaded down and to the left. So a dashed line that is shaded down to the left. With my blue line, my slope is -2/1, down 2, right 1, and my y-intercept is -2. So I'm starting 2 below my origin. And what you kind of notice is that these are parallel lines. So y is greater than or equal to. I think it was -2 minus 2x, yep. I'm going to actually change those colors just because it's a little harder to see. There we go. And so again, I've got a solid, line that's shaded above. Shaded up and to the right. So you got kind of arrows going at each other. And so when I do this, when I turn both of these guys on, I've got red over here, I've got blue over here. here is where I have them mixing together to get me that purple, that darker shade right there. So that's going to be this part right here in the middle is actually going to be the only place that I shade. And so with when I highlight everything in between those two lines. That's the only place where it shades at. Then to answer this question here, looking at that ordered pair 1, 1, is that a solution? So I look right here, put a big dot at 1, 1. That is in my shaded region, so yes, it's a solution. Over here, a top right-hand problem. Again, I need to get my y by itself here, so I'm going to subtract my x to the other side. I get y is less than or equal to 6 minus x. With my other equation, I'm going to subtract the 2x. And then I'm going to divide everything by -4. Remember, when I divide everything by a negative number, that's when I have to flip my sign. So I go y is greater than -2 plus 1/2 x. And I'm actually going to go ahead and highlight that, and I'd suggest you to highlight it as well, where that's kind of a thing that makes this problem different. And so with this red equation, y is greater than -2 plus 1/2 x. Again, I can always plug it into Desmos, or I can just use my slope and y-intercept. I'm up 1, right 2 for my slope, and my y-intercept is a -2. Oops. There we go. So y is greater than -1/2 x minus 2. There we go. Dotted line shaded above. So I give myself a dashed line, and it's everything above is shaded. On the other side, I've got y is less than or equal to 6 minus x. So my slope for that one is -1. So -1 over 1, which is down 1, right 1, and a y-intercept of 6. Oops. So when I graph that, I'm starting 6 above my origin. Then I'm down 1, right 1, like that. And again, I'm going to put it into Desmos to see where I'm shading at. Y is less than or equal to, oops, 6 minus x. Oof. Again, I'm going to change those colors. Click in the gear. There we go. Turn off the red one and for now. So solid line. Oops. There we go. And everything down and to the left is what I'm shading. There we go. I can turn them both on. I can look, here's my red, here's my blue. This is where I get that purple, that darker shade where my colors are overlapping at. So that's what I want to do. Like that. Again, I get the question is the ordered pair 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 3, 4 is right there. So is 3, 4 a solution? We say no, it's not a solution. I'm just going to do one more problem and do the bottom right-hand problem, then I'll be done. So again, first one I want to do is I want to get my y by itself, subtract the x to the other side, get 3y is less than or equal to negative 6 minus x, and I am going to put a 1 in front of there, just because when I divide everything by 3, I need to make sure that I understand that there's a 1 in front. So y is less than or equal to negative 2 minus 1/3 x. So on this one, my slope is negative 1/3, which means I'm down 1 and right 3. And then my y-intercept is negative 2. I can then do the same thing with the other one. I'm getting y by itself off the bottom equation, so I'm going to subtract the 4x to the other side. Get negative 2y is less than or equal to negative 8 minus 4x, and then divide everything by negative 2. Again, put a little star there. I'm dividing everything by a negative. That's when I have to flip my sign. So flip my sign to get positive 4 and a positive 2x. So my slope is 2 over 1, up 2 right 1. And my y-intercept is 4. So with my red equation, I'm starting 4 above my origin. And I'm up 2 right 1. I can also reverse the direction and go down 2 left 1 just to continue the pattern. So y is greater than or equal to 4 plus 2x. Okay, 4 plus 2x, good. Solid line. There you go. And this is where I'm shading. Then with the other one, oops. Let's see, my blue line here, y-intercept of negative 2. And then a slope of negative 1/3. So down 1 right 3, down 1 right 3, and also reverse the direction. And again, that's a y is less than or equal to. Negative 2 minus 1/3, oops, x. Well, I guess they could be the same color. I don't like that though. There we go. Again, it is a solid line that's shaded below. Just like that. And so again, when I turn those two on at the same time, I've got my red part here, I've got my blue part here, and then right in here, that's where I have my shading overlapping. I've got that purple. So that's the part of my graph that I want to shade, is just this bottom corner here. Everything below the blue line, and then everything to the left of the red line. It's always one of the 4 pieces. It's never in 2 different regions. So make sure that that's kind of a note to help yourself to make sure that you're doing it right. So again, all these graphs I can do by plugging into Desmos and putting an equal sign in there and then finding my table. It's just whichever way that you prefer to do it. I did it by slope and y-intercept just because that's faster. So, but you can do it either way. But hopefully that makes sense.